Hello everybody! This is a short presentation about some differences between higher education in the USA and higher education in Colombia. Education has always been one of the most controversial topics in our societies. Every time a contrast is established between the education structure in different countries, the discussion becomes difficult because every country thinks their education system is the best. This is an interesting topic which I will discuss in this presentation by analyzing the differences between PhD students in the USA and in Colombia. Let me show you some interviews about those topics. Good afternoon. What's your name and what is your PhD study about?
My name is Ali Nasirian, and I'm studying geotechnical engineering at New Mexico State University.
Are you a PhD student?
Yes, I am, and my research is about the thermal properties of the soils.
Okay. How do you pay your tuition and your daily expenses as a PhD student?
I'm working for 20 hours per week in the university as a teaching assistant or research assistant, and based on the money that I receive from the university and the Department of Civil Engineering, I'm paying my tuition fees and my daily expenses.
Okay. So you receive money according to the number of hours are you working as an assistant?
Yes, I'm working. Yes, I'm receiving money per hour.
Okay. How many professors teach in each class? In your classes? So.
We have generally 2 professors for geotechnical engineering, and each of them teach 1 class.
Okay, but in one lecture?
Yes, in
usually
one lecture.
There is usually
1 professor in each lecture, but sometimes they will have some people coming from outside the university for some companies to give us some lectures or transfer some experience from outside the university to the graduate students.
Okay. How many students are usually in each class?
In each graduate class, we have master and PhD students at the same time, and that would be around between 5 to 10 people.
Okay. Can you get extra money as a PhD student? If so, explain to us how it is possible.
Because I'm an international student in the United States of America, I only can work for 20 hours per week based on my visa. So I can only receive 20 hours per week, and I cannot make any extra money in this country.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sofia. As a PhD student, I had the opportunity to study in Colombia and also in the USA. Half of my tuition was paid by La Salle University and the other half by myself. In Colombia, there was only 1 professor in each class, but in the USA, there were 2 professors for each class. In Colombia, there were usually 1 or 2 PhD students and about 15 or 20 master students for each class. Also, sometimes 1 or 2 bachelor students. To get extra money in Colombia as a PhD student is very difficult. Sometimes the PhD students can do classes in the master program or in the undergraduate program, but only 4 hours per week. Another possibility is to participate in specific projects with a limited number of hours. That's all. Thank you very much. Good morning, Professor.
Morning.
What's your name?
My name is Douglas Cortez.
Okay. Are you professor in the NMSU University?
I am an assistant professor in the Civil Engineering Department.
Okay. Let me ask you some questions about some things about the education.
Sure.
How many hours do you have in your contract for each academic period? It includes teaching hours, research hours, and other activities.
Well, we have a different time allocation. In my position, it's probably around 40% teaching, 40% research, and then we have some time for service as well. So I would say probably half and half research and teaching, and then in addition to that, we have service.
So your contract is 40 hours per week? Or
We
40?
don't have an hourly contract. We have a salary. So it's based on what you have. If you work 40, 50, 60 hours, it depends. You rarely see anybody working 40 hours. It's typically more than that.
Okay, thank you. How many assistant professors or PhD students do you have in your lectures?
Typically, we have one assistant student for every 30 students that we teach in the class. So if your class is more than 30, then you will have one assistant. If you have more than 60, you will have two assistants.
Okay.
For research, I have a group with 3 PhD students that are dedicated to research, and I have 5 master students.
Okay, thank you. How do you found your research projects?
Well, there is a multitude of sources for research. It depends on what your ideas are and what you're trying to accomplish. Here in the state, we have what is called state funding, and state funding is primarily for applied research. So if you're working with transportation problems or water problems or anything that is related to infrastructure, state funding is available for it, and it's very applied. Then you have national and federal funding from NSF, Department of Energy, and there are multiple sources as well. And the research for those agencies changes slightly. There are different ideas and goals for those projects. And then you have institutional research, which typically are small programs supported by the university.
Okay.
And then you have private funding.
Okay.
And there is an array of different funds available for research in science from private entities.
Okay. For example, if you are looking for some projects, you are autonomous on this project, and maybe you need to give some percentage for the university, or no?
Yes, typically we have what is called an overhead. Schools around the country will typically range from 40 to 60% overhead, and what it is that you have to, when you request the money, 40, I think here we are about 48, 46%.
Okay.
40% of it goes to the university for administration, facilities, and all these things. And then the remaining goes towards salaries and student support and equipment and all these things.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor,
My pleasure.
for your time.
All right.
Okay. Good evening, Professor.
Good evening.
What's your name?
My name is Santiago Sáenz Torres.
Okay. Are you professor at La Salle University in Colombia?
Yes, traveled 12 years.
Okay. Professor, let me ask you some questions. How many hours do you have in your contract for each academic period? It includes teaching hours, research hours, and other activities.
I have 40 hours a week, which are distributed. So, on the graduate program, 12 hours, graduate programs, 6 hours, research program, total 10 hours, and other activities, 12 hours.
Okay, Professor. How many assistant professors or PhD candidate or students do you have in your lectures?
No, actually no one.
Okay. How you found your research projects?
Oh, my research projects are funded by La Salle University.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
After listening to these interviews, we can conclude that the main differences between higher education in Colombia and higher education in the USA for PhD studies are the number of professors in one class, the resource, and the funding for research projects. First of all, in the USA, each class of graduate level can be taken by master students, PhD students, and also by students who are in the last year of their bachelor. In each class, there should be a professor and an assistant professor or a PhD student. In Colombia, the students who can take those classes are the same, but there is only one professor in each class, which has a big influence on the dynamic of the classes. The second difference is about the resource and their ability. Resources include laboratory, software, and special reports. In the USA, it is possible to have those resources, but in Colombia, not always is easy to have all of them. On the other hand, the financial support for the research projects in the USA usually is gets by the professors that need to develop their projects. Also, there is an interesting collaboration between the university and the private sector, which is very important for sustainability and research. Every research project provides financial support to the PhD students. That does not mean that none of the PhD students pay their tuition, but it is unusual for them to do so. In Colombia, the financial support to the research projects is given by the universities. PhD students need to pay their tuition to be able to be part of those research projects. This is a very difficult situation in Colombia because most of the students don't want to continue with their higher education because it requires a lot of money. This comparison can help to understand the weaknesses and the strengths of each system related to PhD students. This situation explains why there are few PhD students studying in Colombia and why they prefer to go to other countries such as the USA. Thank you.